Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michael Tic Tac, and this is my attempt of Pokemon Omega Ruby, Water Shinies only, Hardcore Nuzlocke. Here are the rules that I'll be using, so just pause the video if you want to have a read. Also, I'll leave them in the description. So I did a Fire type only shiny run for my last video, and a lot of people seem to have enjoyed it. Because of that, I thought why not continue the series and make another shiny only monotype. So we start our adventure by riding the back of a moving truck until we arrive at our new home. I go inside my house and for some reason I'm the only one with a bedroom. No wonder Dad lives at his gym. We then head outside and the professor is being chased by a dog. It's here where I start soft resetting over and over until this happens. Then I take out the dog and I save the professor. We head back to the lab and the professor lets us name our mudkip. I name him Smout and we continue on. Not long after, we have a battle with May, who I'm able to take care of pretty easily. We head back to the professor and he makes a big deal about the fact that I could beat her. Okay, relax professor, she had a level 5 Trico. Also, for those who did not watch my Fire Shiny only run, I am playing with a ROM that has increased shiny odds. This is the only way I could get this video done in a reasonable time frame. Like before, I wanted to make it clear right at the start of the video and not mislead any of my viewers. We continue on and I start grinding for my next encounter. After a while, I finally come across a majestic, shiny Wingull. He is caught and I name him Chips. I finally get some alone time with my dad and then this guy just comes in and all of a sudden I mean nothing to him. Thanks Dad. We then have our first encounter with Team Magma, saving the Devon researcher. After that, we can make our way to our first gym and battle the gym leader Roxy, who uses rock type Pokemon. This is just a battle where Smout continues to spray water at a Pokemon over and over until they both faint. This gives us our first gym badge. What? They took Pico? That's it. This time Team Magma have gone too far. I head into the cave and I beat up the grunt, then return Pico to its owner. He then generously offers us a lift to Dewford City on his boat. Once here, we can fish for some new encounters with an old rod. The first shiny I find is the one and only Magikarp. I name him King and he goes straight into the party so we can level up. After I spend a little bit more time fishing, I finally come across a shiny Tentacool. I name her Buddy and she also joins the team. Also, I do some grinding for the next gym and Smout evolves. Next up is Brawly, the fighting type gym leader, who just seems to be doing squats 24/7. This battle is actually reasonably straightforward. Chips is able to take out Machop with a couple of wing attacks, then Makuhita comes out and Chips is able to do the same thing to him and taking it out, giving us our second gym badge. With that done, we head to Slateport where I can deliver the Devon parts. Of course, nothing is that simple and Team Magma try to steal it. They are easily dealt with and then their leader Maxi comes out. We now have a battle with May coming up, so I level up King and he evolves into the monster that is known as Gyarados. With King evolved, he destroys May team without even breaking a sweat. We then head to Morville City, and this place is nothing like the originals. But the one thing that does not change in this city is the fact that we need to beat up Wally's Pokemon. I actually kind of feel bad doing that to him. After destroying Wally's confidence, we make our way to take on Watson and his electric type Pokemon. Because of Smout, this gym is a breeze. I just have Smout continuously throwing mud at all of Watson's Pokemon, and one by one they eventually fall, taking out Watson. This gets our hands on our third gym badge. With nothing left to do here, we leave Morville City and we press on. We then go to Route 113 and it is literally raining ash non-stop. I kind of feel sorry for the guy that decided to build a house here. Not long after, we are tasked with another rescue mission. This once again involves a professor who has been taken to Meteor Falls. I take out the Team Magma grunts with May and then we are introduced to Archie from Team Aqua. After a bit of a scuffle, we save the professor and we can move on. Next we ride a cart to the top of Mount Chimney. Once at the top we can see Team Magma and Team Aqua having a bit of a gang war. I run past all the grunts, then we take on Maxi's right hand man Tabitha with ease. After the battle, Chips evolves into Pelipper, which is perfect. I then head straight up to take on Team Magma's leader, Maxi. I put Chips straight to work against his Mighty Anna and I hit it with a water pulse. Mighty Anna responds with a swagger and I don't want to mess around with being confused, so I swap it out. King comes in and he can take out the Mighty Anna with a rock smash. Next is Goldbat and King can take it out with a couple of strengths. Last is Camerupt, which King can easily dispose of also. Maxi genuinely can't believe what's just happened and he nearly drops his glasses. We leave Mount Chimney so we can continue on with our gym challenge. The next gym leader we need to take on is Flannery and a fire type Pokemon. She definitely has a few screws loose, but she is the gym leader and I need to battle her. As you all probably expected, Water is good against fire, and this is a training session for Chips. They all go down to a few hits, giving us probably our easiest badge of the bunch. As soon as we head outside, May meets up with us and she conveniently takes us to Petalburg City. Before I take on the next gym, I decide to do some more grinding and Buddy evolves into a Tentacruel. From here I head to take on the gym, who is my dad, Norman. This fight could have been pretty scary as Slacking is an absolute monster that has better stats than some of the legendary Pokemon. However, I have a secret weapon, Chips. Chips is able to protect every turn that Slacking attacks, and then he can attack on the turn that Slacking is loafing around. Vigoroth does become a little annoying to deal with, but I bring in King and Buddy to deal with it. Also, Buddy's able to put down some toxic spikes. When his main Slacking comes in, I switch in Chips and take it out with Brine and Poison. Impossible. Not really that impossible, Dad. Now give me my badge so I can continue on, please. We get HM Surf and I can find another team member. After a bit of surfing, we run into a green barrel. Once caught, I name him Thumper. Best of all, it has the huge power ability, meaning it's actually useful in battle. Next we meet up with Steven and we go on a ride together on his Latias. So beautiful. We do some more grinding and Thumper evolves into a beautiful yellow Azumarill. Team Magma is once again up to no good, so I have to deal with them. Then May is feeling pretty confident and wants to have another battle. She leads with Slugma and I decide to give Buddy some airtime. Slugma is taken out with a single surf in the rain. Then her Grovyle comes out, but a couple of acid sprays takes care of it. Her final Pokemon is Wailmer, and Buddy finishes it off with a couple of poison jabs, giving us a very comfortable win over May. Our next task is to take on Leona and a flying type Pokemon. She leads with Sweller and it goes for a double team. Thankfully King doesn't miss and his Ice Fang can take it out with a single hit. Next is Pelipper, who is pretty annoying to take out because it continuously uses Roost to heal and it protects. Eventually King is able to take it out with a few strengths. Skarmory is next and King can also take it out with a couple of Dragon Rages. Her last Pokemon is Erase Altaria. This thing is quad weak to an Ice Fang and it goes down in a single hit, beating Leona and giving us our 6th gym badge. We continue on and after doing some battles, Smout evolves into a Swampert. We make our way to the next city and May wants to have another battle and I just wish she knew when to quit. I lead with my newly evolved Smout and I take out Swallow with a Rock Slide. Wailord is next and a couple of digs deals with it quite easily. Next is Sceptile, so I switch in King to intimidate it and take a hit. King is able to take it out with an Ice Fang, followed by a Strength. Macaco is our last line of defense, but had no chance of surviving an Aqua Tail from King. With that, we have beaten May for the last time in this playthrough. We head to the Team Magma hideout and the bright grunts tell me where Maxie is and why he's there. We use Surf and we make our way to Mount Pyre. Once at the top, we find Maxie stealing the red orb. He leaves and he asks Admin Courtney to deal with me. Unfortunately for her, she uses a Camerupt who is quad weak to a Surf and falls in a hit. Then for some reason, the guys think it's best if I take the blue orb with me, so I do. We then head back to Team Magma's hideout. When here, we find a Master Ball which we obviously take, then I have a battle with 5 grunts at once. Unfortunately, this just leads to Buddy drowning 5 dogs with a Surf. Finally, Admin Courtney wants a rematch, but she still only has one Pokemon who is still quad weak to my whole team, so yeah, it doesn't end well for her. Although there are a few encounters we can get, they are mainly fishing encounters which take too long to do. However, I do make my way to Shoal Cave and I run around for a bit until this happens. I shiny Spheal. We catch the Spheal and I name him Big Mac. I waste no time and I level him up so he can evolve into Celio. Once as Celio, it doesn't take long before Big Mac evolves one more time into Walrein. Next we have a super difficult gym fight. We get to Tate and Liza's gym, we float up towards him, and just kidding, this is the easiest gym by far. The battle begins and I lead with my 2 purple Pokemon and Snout goes for a Surf, doing some good damage on both Pokemon. Then Big Mac is next, who also goes for a Surf, taking them both out. The twins are impressed and they give us our 7th gym badge. We head outside and there's a giant green beam coming from the ocean. As usual, it's my task to investigate. We head into the middle of it all and Maxie and Archie are there. Maxie is losing his mind, so I battle him to sort him out. He leads with Mariana and I have Big Mac out. I go for an Earthquake, healing about half its health, and Mariana responds with a scary face, dropping my speed. Maxie then withdraws Mariana and he brings out Weezing, who has Levitate and is immune to Earthquake. Weezing does explode, taking himself out, but Big Mac takes it like a champ. I then switch in King, who can take it to Mariana with a dive. Crobat is next, and it does hit King for decent damage with Acrobatics. but we respond with an Ice Fang, which gets to freeze on Crobat. We're literally in a volcano and we're freezing Pokemon. I follow up with a Strength and I take it out. Camerupt is next, and although it does Mega Evolve, he has no chance surviving a dive from King. Maxie then almost loses his glasses again and is in disbelief that we got the job done. However, the battle ends up being for nothing as Maxie still brings Primal Groudon to life using the red orb he stole from Mount Pyre. Groudon rises from the depths and with him the harsh sunlight. Steven then swoops in to tell me that I need to do something about it. And rather than helping me out with the situation, he jumps back on his bird and just leaves it up to me. Great. I make my way up to Sootopolis City and Maxie and Archie are already waiting. They start telling me about some magma suit and just expect me to start swimming in lava with the Groudon. What now? We head inside the Cave of Origin and we start heading towards Groudon and the place starts shaking. We get to the bottom and I put on the magma suit. It kinda looks like an astronaut suit. We lose communication with Maxie, but apparently I don't care and I jump on the Groudon. He then takes me on a leisurely stroll until we reach the heart of the cave. It's now that our battle begins and Groudon transforms into a Primal Groudon. However, I have no intentions to fight him, so I just use my Master Ball and I catch him. After catching him, a giant green beam shoots from the sky and I've successfully saved the world. Some random stuff does start falling from the sky, but no one seems to be worried about it, so I just ignore it. With that done, we head to face Wallace, a rookie Water-type user. He leads with Love Disc and I have King out. King uses Earthquake and takes it out in a single hit. He also levels up and he learns Dragon Dance, which I obviously teach. Next is Milotic, and I use my brand new move, Dragon Dance. Milotic responds with an Ice Beam and it gets the freeze. I'm frozen for a few turns, but I do thaw out eventually and I go for one more Dragon Dance. King then hits Milotic with an Earthquake, which is just short from taking it out. Milotic then responds with an Ice Beam and I'm lucky to survive. Wallace heals Milotic with a full restore, but King brings it back down to the red with another Earthquake. Then on the next turn, Milotic does fall to another Earthquake. Celio comes in, but it's basically just a sacrifice as King takes it out with a single Earthquake. Wishcash is next to be sacrificed as King takes it out with a dive, leaving only one more Pokemon. Last is Wallace's Seeking, and this thing really doesn't want to be here. King uses one more Earthquake and puts Seeking out of its misery. Wallace then congratulates us on the victory and he gives us our final gym badge for the run. With that, we have now saved the world and have all 8 gym badges. There's only one last thing we need to do before the Elite Four, and that's Victory Road. Now I don't have flash on any of my Pokemon, so I had to navigate certain sections in the dark. We do eventually make it out, but we get stopped. Wally wants to have one last fight before we can move on. To be honest, this is one of my favourite fights in all of Pokemon, as I love the music. Wally leads with Altaria and I have Big Mac out. Big Mac takes out Altaria with a single Aurora Beam. Roselia comes in and this thing is also weak to ice and falls to an Aurora Beam from Big Mac. Next is Magneton and I bring it down to Sturdy with an Earthquake. I get hit with a Tri-Attack which actually just tickles Big Mac. On the next turn, Big Mac takes it out with an Earthquake. Delcatty is the next Pokemon Wally brings out in hope to stop Big Mac. But Big Mac uses Surf and washes Delcatty back to Wally. His last Pokemon is his ace, Gallade. Not wanting to risk being hit by a super effective close combat, I switch in King, who can intimidate it. Gallade Mega Evolves and it goes for a Swords Dance, which is fine. King uses Waterfall, which does just over half of Gallade's health. Gallade then gets greedy and goes for a second Swords Dance, which allows King to take it out on the next turn and defeating Wally for the last time. We do some final preparations and we can now begin our Elite Four run. Starting with Sydney, the Dark-type user. Honestly, he looks like a bald guy that is better off shaving his head, but would rather just keep what little hair he has left. Sydney leads with Mightyena and I have King out. We both get our attacks dropped from Intimidate. King goes for a Dragon Dance, raising both his attack and speed by 1 stage. Mightyena then responds and goes for a Swagger, which misses. This is actually annoying as I wanted it to land. Mightyena goes for a Sucker Punch, which fails as I go for another Dragon Dance, raising my stats further. I go for one more Dragon Dance, making me basically unstoppable, and Mightyena finally lands a Swagger, which is perfect as I can recover with a Berry and get another +2 in attack. As you can imagine, it's not very pretty for Sydney's Pokemon from here. I take out Mightyena with a Waterfall. Then Sydney brings in Shiftry, who also falls to a Waterfall from King. Sharpedo is next, and King uses an Earthquake to take it out. King uses one more Earthquake to Absol, crumbling it back to Sydney. Last is Cacturn, and a Waterfall is enough to get the job done, making our first battle in the Elite Four a clean sweep. Next is Phoebe, who is dressed like she's on a holiday in Hawaii. We start the battle and she leads with Dusclops. Once again, I have King out and I get the Intimidate off. King then goes for a Dragon Dance, raising both his attack and speed. Dusclops responds with a Confuse Ray, which hits. Thankfully, King can recover with a berry and he is no longer confused. King then starts feeling a little hungry and decides to crunch the Dusclops to its death. Phoebe then brings in Dusknoir, but a single crunch from King is enough to take it out. Next is Sableye, and King uses a Waterfall this time to take it out before it can do anything. Phoebe's last two Pokemon are both Bannettes, and they are simply food for King as he crunches both of them and takes them out. That's Phoebe down and our second win in the Elite Four. Our next hurdle is Glacier, the Ice-type Master. She leads with Glalie, and I have King out. Also, I promise this is the last time I use King. Once again, I use Dragon Dance with King to raise my attack and speed. Glalie does respond by setting up the Hail, which does do some chip damage. King then sets up another Dragon Dance, raising his stats further. Glalie then does minimal damage with a Crunch. I set up one more Dragon Dance, and Glalie makes one last effort to damage King with a Crunch. From here, King uses Earthquake and takes out Glalie. Frostlass is next, but it's taken out with a single Crunch from King. Her second Frostlass comes in, but it shares the same fate as the other and it goes down to a single crunch. She then sends in Walrein, and not even this thick boy can survive an Earthquake from King. Her last Pokemon is Glalie, and I end it with another Earthquake, giving us our third Elite Four member done. It was at this point I realized King was literally doing everything on its own, so I decided to switch up my strategies for the next couple of fights. Our next opponent is Drake, who looks like he's just come from a pirate ship. He has a small outburst and we begin the battle. He leads with Altaria and I have Big Mac out. Big Mac uses Ice Beam and takes out Altaria in a single hit. Next is Flygon, who's also quad weak to Ice and falls to a single Ice Beam. Drake then decides to sacrifice his other Flygon as it goes down to an Ice Beam. His Ace Salamence comes out early and it does do decent damage with the Dragon Rush, but Big Mac sends it to an early grave with an Ice Beam. Drake's last Pokemon is Kingdra, who does need a couple of Ice Beams to be taken out. With that, Drake has been defeated and we can now take on the champion, Steven. We head down the hallway and we make our way through the giant doors. Once inside, Steven is waiting for us. Now, I could easily sweep this fight with King, but I decided to ban him to make the fight a little more interesting. Steven leads with Skarmory and I have Smout out. Smout Mega Evolves and hits Skarmory with a Surf, doing just over half damage. Skarmory sets up with some spikes, which is fine. On the next turn, Smout takes out the Skarmory with a second Surf. Steven brings in Cradily, so I switch in Big Mac into a Giga Drain, doing some big damage. On the next turn, I go for an Ice Beam, hoping to take it out, but I'm just short and I get hit with another big Giga Drain. Big Mac then goes for one more Ice Beam and it takes out the Cradily. Aggron is next, and I know this thing has Stone Edge. I think about my options, and unfortunately my best move is to stay in and do some big damage with an Earthquake. Aggron goes for a Stone Edge, and unfortunately it hits, and Big Mac goes down. I am a little sad about this, as I was hoping for a deathless run. From here, I switch in Buddy, and Steven decides to switch in Claydol, who takes big damage from a Surf. On the next turn, I outspeed and I take out Claydol with another Surf. Steven then brings Aggron back in, but it can't do anything as it falls to another Surf from Buddy. Armaldo is next, and Buddy hits it hard with a Surf. Steven uses a full restore, healing Armaldo back up, but another Surf from Buddy brings him back to the red. From here, I decide to switch in Smout, who can take out the Armaldo with a couple of Surfs. Last is his ace, Metagross. Metagross Mega Evolves, and Smout uses a Protect to see what it does. Metagross goes for a Giga Impact, but Smout is protected. Smout then does some huge damage with an Earthquake, and Metagross misses his Giga Impact. On the next turn, I go for another Earthquake, but we're speed tied, and Metagross hits Smout with a Giga Impact. Thankfully, I survive on 14 HP. Smout then finishes off the fight with a second Earthquake, beating the champion Steven. With that, we are now champions, and we have beaten Pokemon Omega Ruby using only shiny Water-type Pokemon. If you made it to the end of the video and you enjoyed it, consider subscribing and leaving a like. Regardless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.